Hey friends, I am so happy you're back joining me again this week. I had an entirely different thing scheduled for today, and then at the last minute, being yesterday, I changed my mind. It was something that's just been eating at me personally for quite a while, and it just seemed more time relevant than the other thing I had planned. So, we are going to talk today about staying in our light. This is a big deal to me right now, primarily because I am struggling with it hard. And after my class yesterday, talking to a few other students, it was pretty apparent that I'm not the only one. So perhaps maybe this will be helpful to you too. What do we mean when we say staying in our light? For me, that means we are able to block out all the negativity around us and continue to do good things, be in a positive place, help others, check our own nastiness. And right now, that's a challenge. I would say, honestly, this whole last year, for a lot of us, it's been a challenge. And rather than get better, I definitely feel like it's gotten worse. It's been a long year. This is something I've made several posts about, over the last couple of months. It's been a lot, and I definitely feel like the longer we go, the harder it's becoming to be able to cancel out all that noise and do things from a good place all the time. I'm very guilty of this. This is definitely not going to be one of these talks where it's preaching. I am guilty, and I'm also very much struggling with this. Last week, we talked about a lot of these issues stemming from social media. This is another one that is rooted in social media being an issue. We scroll and we scroll and we scroll, and before you know it, 5 minutes in, we're in a fight. Over the last few days, I've seen some of the craziest stuff from people on all sides of the spectrum. I've seen references to women politicians only getting where they are based on performing sexual favors. I've seen posts about if you get vaccines of any sort, you're not a Christian. I've seen some anonymous guy on Twitter's got JFK Jr. in a bunker waiting to emerge and save the world. I could fill up these 15 minutes with crazy stuff I've seen. The biggest takeaway is that a lot of it's nasty. Eliminating social media would be a huge fix to this. However, it doesn't stop there. Pretty much every conversation you have with people on a day-to-day basis somehow gets turned around to COVID or politics or masks or something. So it doesn't just stop on social media. It's literally turned into our everyday lives and conversations. So taking away the social media isn't always the fix. You're going to find yourself, we all have the people who we know we can have conversations with peacefully on different sides of the spectrum and be able to converse nicely. Or we have those same people who we know we just don't talk about stuff with because we either can't, boundaries, so on and so forth. But then there's those people who just can't stop. I'm guilty of being both. I'm guilty of being both. The last few weeks, I've definitely tried to be better about when I'm talking to people in person. I don't want to talk about it at all. If the conversation goes that way, I will actively try to move it in a different direction because I just don't want to. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. On social media, I try and do the same thing. And then some days, I lose my shit. I think we all have the days where we just have had enough and we lose our shit. So, what do? I know as a result, there have been a lot of circumstances lately where I've had to protect my peace by unfriending, unfollowing, in some cases blocking people just because I don't want to see it anymore, I don't want to hear it anymore. But what do? Someone said something to me Saturday that put it in perspective. They said, "Can I not have an opinion?" Absolutely. The double-edged sword to that currently is that everyone can have an opinion. However, once you put your opinion out there, other people can choose to react to that as well. If you have an opinion that is different from my opinion, I have the choice of being able to, okay, or mentally no, I don't want to associate with this anymore. And this goes left or right, honestly. A lot of our conversations and arguments and situations right now usually break down to left or right politics, which is another thing that we've allowed to happen. Used to be you could talk to people about politics and you were talking about policies and fiscal stuff. Now everything has to be political. Everything. So where do we stop that? That's hard. We're having to decide what things are important enough to us to cut people off for. That's difficult. I have a lot of friends who don't agree with me politically, who I love tremendously. I hope that doesn't stop anytime soon. I can't deal with anyone being nasty. I can't deal with you're this because of that, you're this because of that. I can't deal with the fake Christian mentality. The Bible didn't say that. Can really refute a lot of the things we see all the time. But what do? We can talk about stuff like this all day, about the stuff that we see causing issues, ending friendships, alienating us from family. But what do? Morally, it's hard to want to bypass people we care about when they say things that are incredibly damaging. It's hard. It's also hard to rectify it with yourself when you don't feel like you're standing up for what you believe in. You feel like you're either being true to yourself and alienating people you care about, or you're being quiet and it's going against all of your moral codes. So I've started a checklist for the next probably several months. And this is what I'm going to do personally. I won't be posting on social media otherwise, unless it's business related. If it has nothing to do with business or brand, I won't be sharing it. I'm not scrolling for a long time because that's really where, for me, a lot of my problem starts. I can't do it. That sucks. And I hope over the process of trying to retrain my brain, that will change. But right now, I need a timeout. I have already gone through and unfriended, unfollowed, and blocked a lot of people who I was, friends with, I guess, as far as internet stuff goes. My general rule of thumb is this. If you don't come to engage with anything I do, my dog, my kid, my business, but you only show up to argue with me, blocked, gone. It's crazy. People who I enjoy, who are part of my daily life, I'll listen to anything they have to say, anytime. But if people only show up to poke you, they need to be gone. Anytime I would normally be scrolling, I'm going to read a book. I have a stack on my nightstand right now that I don't touch because all day long. 2, I'm going to actively not spend time with people who are committed to arguing. That doesn't mean that I won't spend time with people who have different opinions. I have a ton of those that I see and enjoy all the time. But people who just can't let something be or have a nice, healthy dialogue, I'm going to actively avoid them. I just feel like that's the best thing that a lot of us could do right now to be beneficial to our mental health and well-being. And it's the best way to take a little time out. I'm staying away from the news for a while. I struggle with this all the time too, because I feel like the best way to be helping people is to be informed. How are we informed if we're not paying attention to what's happening every day? I don't know the answer to that one, but I know for me it'll be a game changer to not be consuming it constantly. As far as arguing with people on the internet, I've actively decided to spend a lot more time volunteering and actually getting in front of other people to help them, rather than fight with people who are committed to just nonsense. Being firm. There's nothing wrong with saying, I don't want to talk about this, I'm done. That doesn't always mean that we can't have conversations. Boundaries are important to let people know that this conversation is heading a certain way and it's time to turn it off. And for the time being, that's my game plan. I would love to hear what you're doing to keep your peace throughout all this stuff. My biggest hope is that maybe, soon a lot of this will settle down, or, at least maybe some of the emotions behind a lot of it will ease off to where people can go back to having nice conversations without being nasty to each other constantly and just saying straight up untruths on the internet or what have you. But that's my game plan. I would love to hear if you have any ideas that could benefit mine, or if ones that I've shared are going to benefit you. Next week we'll get back into more actually yoga related topics. This one translates to yoga as well, because I know especially if you're a healer of any kind, yoga, massage, ... It's not a chill time to be a healer. It's, like I said at the very beginning, I'll be the first one to say I am failing here. I'm having a very hard time. I know I'm not the only one. I've talked to several other students, other healers of their brand. It's not been easy. So hang in there. Join me back again next week. And again, if you have anything you want to share or add, please let me know. I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you back next week.